You say that this is an invitation video. Please tell us, what is this invitation about?
Well, invitation is about becoming a psychiatrist of the future, a neuroanalyst, a psychiatrist that will diagnose the mental disorders according to the brain disturbances of his patients.
How are patients diagnosed today?
Well, today psychiatry has a phenomenological diagnostic system. This is very different than medicine, where in medicine you have an ethiopathological or etiological diagnostic system. For example, when you say in medicine mitral valve prolapse or appendicitis, the taxonomy means appendix is a place in the body and what happened to it. Mitral valve is a place in the body and there is a prolapse. So in medicine you have a ethiopathological diagnostic system where you know where to go and what needs to be fixed. But when you say depression or you say anxiety, is that a place in the body? Do we know what that is? So actually in psychiatry we are left with a diagnostic system which is actually only signs and symptoms of the patient.
And why is that? Why psychiatrists don't have a brain-related diagnosis?
Well, most will argue that the brain is too complicated, and actually the brain is a very complex system. But today, with physics of complex systems and with neural network, neural computation systems which mimic the brain, we are beginning to have enough information and enough knowledge to start and formulate mental disorders as disturbances of brain complicated organization.
How would you diagnose mental disorders based on brain disturbances?
Well, today we have enough data in order to begin and formulate mental disorders as brain disorders. For example, we have a lot of data and many publications about disconnection dynamics in psychosis, where patients that suffer from loosening of associations, hallucinations and delusions actually show some kind of disconnection dynamics. There is a lot of literature about that. And with neural network simulations you can also simulate negative signs of schizophrenia by having neural systems with overconnectivity dynamics. So disconnectivity and overconnectivity imbalances could actually simulate psychotic schizophrenia spectrum syndromes. And then in personality disorders are probably disturbances to the default mode network, and not just general disturbance, but specific small world network bias of the default mode network. And if we are talking about mood disorders, I would actually argue that these are disturbances of matching dynamics or of free energy, disturbances to the optimization dynamics of the network.
What is the reason that psychiatrists don't use your approach?
Well, there is a big gap between neuroscience and the phenomenology of psychiatry. Typically psychiatrists tend to try and connect some kind of factor at the biological, molecular or gene level with the phenomenology, and in between we have the complex system of the brain as a very complicated, complex, non-linear dynamic system. And these sciences of physics of complex systems do not reach psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are not taught today this type of science, and they don't really see the relevance of this science today to the specific patients and to the specific phenomenology of mental disorders.
So where would you start?
Well, I would start by teaching psychiatrists about complex system, neural computation, computational neuroscience, and nonlinear complex system dynamics. I would start by showing that mental disorders are disturbances to global, widespread dynamics in the brain and to whole brain organization. Whole brain organization can achieve the fact of emergent properties. Emergent properties are properties of the whole system which are not part of the elements. And complicated emergent properties such as mood, personality, awareness, consciousness can come about from the complexity of whole brain organization. This would be the first thing. Then I would teach them the relevance of hierarchical brain organization. The brain is organized from unimodal to multimodal to transmodal organization, and this is well goes in concordance very well with global workspace theory of consciousness by Bernard Baars, and it relates consciousness to whole brain organization, which has been recently proven by the work of Giulio Tononi and others. Then I will teach psychiatrists about connectivity as the means for memories, for incorporating information, for incorporating internal representations. The brain is an experience-dependent plasticity system which develops gradually from infancy to adulthood, incorporating the environment into an internal model in the brain. Such basic structure of internal organization would be the basic of our traits of the way we experience everything and the way we react to everything, which is actually the traits of our personality. And then I would teach psychiatrists about small world network organization, which is an optimal information transfer organization of the brain, and gives us intuition that mental disorders are probably disturbances to the small world network organization. Small world network would be a network where the nearby connections are highly and densely connected, clustered, and far away units are sparsely connected.
So, if this is so complicated, how do you intend to proceed?
The first thing I will do, and I actually did already, is create a translation matrix that translates the signs and symptoms from the bedside diagnosis of the patient. So the actual descriptive diagnostic system which is today, a translation matrix which translates it to a series of testable predictions. It is actually a vector of units and values for a testable prediction of the specific brain disturbance that the patient is probably suffering from. This translation matrix is already available on the website. The website is titled neuroanalysis.org.il. You actually need to type neuroanalysis in Google. When you reach the website, the matrix, the diagnostic translation matrix is titled Clinical Brain Profiling. Clinical meaning related to the signs and symptoms. Brain profiling will be related to the specific pattern of disturbances that the patient has. So just click Clinical Brain Profiling, CBP, and you enter a web page where you can enter the signs and symptoms of the patient. Then you scroll down and you press a button titled Clinical Brain Profiling Results, and you get the vector. Now you're actually ready to validate clinical brain profiling by sending the patient to a scanner, and with proper signal processing you can actually validate or refute the clinical brain profiling. So I intend to proceed by creating sets of workshops where psychiatrists and clinicians can study and learn the clinical brain profiling format and the clinical brain profiling background of neuroscience, and then such working workshops and groups of psychiatrists could further develop clinical brain profiling and validate it. I want to emphasize that clinical brain profiling is just a starting point. It's theoretical and it needs development. And I hope that clinicians that will use it will also develop it further and ultimately validate it. So we will finally have a neuroscientific psychiatry, and that will lead us to the next step, which will be curing and correcting the disturbances that will be validated.
Thank you.